Well, this is kind of strange. My my normal start time is 8 p.m. Central, which is what it is. But for some reason, I was scheduled for 8:30, even though I know I scheduled it for 8 o'clock. Things happen. Anyway, welcome to Coffee with Chaos. My name is James. Here is my coffee. Nice and hot. And behind me, there's 2 or 3 rooms of chaos. Just take my word for it. Those of you that watched the video I dropped this morning saw a little bit of that chaos. Those of you that didn't watch my video this morning, well, why not? I have over 800 members and I get like 12 views. What's up with that? Come on, people, watch my videos. You might accidentally learn something. Or you might enjoy where I make a mistake, because if I make a mistake while I'm filming, I'm going to show it to you. I'm not going to try to hide it. I got to thinking about a couple of different things today. And I have comics to show you. I have things that I pressed, and I've got some more Tarzan comics to show you. Because, you know, you can never have too much Tarzan, right? Yeah, no. People aren't going to believe that, I don't think. But I got to thinking about new comics, and, you know, they're expensive, and I don't like paying the high price for them, so I don't generally buy new comics off the rack or off the shelf or however they're displayed in your local comic store. Because for the $6 or $7 for a new comic, or whatever they're charging now, I can get 2 or 3 from the Bronze Age, 1 or maybe sometimes 2 from the Silver Age. Sometimes I can get, you know, Copper Age comics for that, or a lot less. I might get 4 or 5, maybe even 6 Copper Age comics for that, and generally a boatload of modern comics for that. It's just, the prices are out of hand. And the reason they're charging these high prices is because they got to pay for the comics that we're getting. And the circulations are a little bit low. So to boost circulations, they put extra covers on. And then they cancel a comic because the sales were down. So let's take the average Spider-Man comic. Average Spider-Man comic has what? 4 to 6 covers and sometimes more. So the hardcore Spider-Man collector feels like they need every single cover, because one of them might blow up and be worth money. So where they might have bought 4 or 5 other comics that got canceled due to low sales, you see where I'm going with this? If they put 1 cover, or maybe 2 at the most, on each comic, that would allow the buyer to buy other comics and maybe increase their sales. Because let's face it, if you have a choice between Spider-Man and some new Marvel comic that you're not really familiar with and don't know anything about, what are you going to buy? Probably going to buy a Spider-Man, or the Fantastic Four, or the Iron Man, or whatever the flavor of the month happens to be that month. So in order to try to increase sales on these comics that have low sales, they're doing things like big crossover events, where you have, because it was successful in the past, you know, they did some big crossovers in the 80s and they worked really well. So in the 90s, they started doing more of them, and now they do them continuously to try to boost sales on these lower selling titles. Doesn't work. People get to the point where they see a crossover event and they go, I'm not going to fool with that. I don't want it. I'm not interested. Or I'll wait and pick it up when it drops in price. That's what I do. I wait, get it, you know. Oh, look, there's a 12-issue miniseries. It's going to cost me $70 or $80 if I buy them individually off the rack, all one at a time. If I wait 2 years, I can probably get it for $10, $15. Think about it. Steven Spock, how you doing, buddy? Glad to see you. So my thought process is, if they want to sell more comics, make more comics. Don't make the same comic with a whole bunch of different covers. Make a whole bunch of different comics. That'll never work. Yeah, it will. Yeah. You're not going to, yes, you're going to sell more of the same comic because you have different covers. But if you have 15 different covers and your sales are 60,000, let's say you sell 100,000 comics and there's 10 different covers on that comic. How many did you really sell? You didn't sell 10,000 of them or 100,000 of them. You sold 10,000 because you had 10 different covers. But you only sold them to one person. Why not have 10 comics and sell 10 comics, 10,000 each for 100,000 total? More satisfied customers, maybe increased sales, maybe start selling that off comic more. The other option is to get better writers, but I don't know, they're not going to. That costs money. It's just plaster these really high dollar artists on the cover of multiple copies of the same thing. I don't understand their business model. Sell a quality product at a reasonable price. You'll make more money. That's my thought. The other thing I was thinking about was conservation versus restoration. There are certain comics that need conservation because they're hurting. They're damaged. You can't read them anymore. And so people are sending them in and getting, on the older ones, people are sending them in and getting graded 1, 1.5, 0.5. If they're conserved properly, the grading would be a little higher with that little gray stripe if you're using CGC. But it would be a conserved book, which means it's going to last longer. A conserved comic is going to last a lot longer than a raw comic of the same period. And I'm talking about 1960s, 1950s, 1940s, 1930s, like that. I'm talking about the old comics, not the newer ones from the 80s and 90s. Yes, the 80s and 90s comics are old. I understand that. To me, they're not old because I'm old. If it was published in my lifetime, it's not old, damn it. But conservation on comics that have deteriorated is an important thing because it'll make the comics last longer. It'll give them new life. Why shouldn't a comic from the 40s last 200 years? Because when it hit that 70 or 80 year point, somebody took it upon themselves to conserve it, get some of the acids out of it, and make it last longer. It's an important thing to think about. I think conservation for comics that are deteriorating and getting in bad shape is important. And I'm not talking about just the Spider-Man ones and Action Comics and the early Supermans. I'm talking about any comic that is deteriorated to the point where it's starting to fall apart. even if it's only worth $2 or $3, because 40 or 50 years from now, that $2 or $3 comic might very well be a $200 or $300 book if it's conserved. Something to think about. Restoration is a different matter, and there's different, just as in conservation, there's different levels of conservation, rating from amateur to professional. I'm somewhere in there. I'm somewhere between amateur and professional. I don't know where. I don't care where. I just know what I want to do. Restoration, on the other hand, has those same things, amateur to professional. Professionally restored comic is going to go for a lot more money than an amateur restored. What do I mean by amateur restored? Tape, cellophane tape, magic tape, or invisible tape, whatever you want to call it, the Scotch cloudy stuff. Things that can't be undone. The thing about conservation is 99% of conservation can be undone. 99% of restoration is permanent. You're not going to undo it. Sometimes it can be changed over and conserved, but it's not going to be in the same quality or the same. It's not going to be as good. These are things that I was thinking about today. I think I'm going to have to take a trip to a comics shop in the next month or so. Just to see what new comics are selling for. And maybe I'll buy one or two. I don't know. Probably not. I'll probably go through their back issue bins and buy some back issues. But it's always, the way I see things is not always the way everybody else sees things. And my chair just tried to break. I've been in the comics since, well, I've been collecting off and on since the late 60s. I've been reading comics since 1959, 1960. So, yeah, I've been into it a long time. And how I think about comics and how other people think about comics isn't always the same thing. Salesboy Comics, good to see you. Hey, if you're interested in conservation on newer stuff like the 60s or maybe even the 70s, check out Salesboy Comics. He does some interesting work on them. I love that Superboy he did recently. It turned out really nice. Being ATC Comics collector, that caught my eye quick. But yeah, you just have to look at, why are you buying comics? Why are you interested in getting comics? I buy comics because I love them. I've always loved them. I always will love them. I don't like selling comics, but I have to sell some in order to make room for more. I've got way too many comics. I'm going to have to sell some. That's all there is to it. And I'm going to schedule a date, and I'm going to make sure it's well advertised so that people know. And I will, do some little previews of what I'm going to offer up for sale. And there'll be some good stuff in there. And there'll be some not so good stuff in there. If you think you're going to get some of my early 1960s DC, that's not going to happen unless I have multiple copies. And I do in some cases. I have a lot of 60s Lois Lane because I'm trying to work on that run. I've got a couple of Superman's Girlfriend Lois Lane #1s that I'm keeping my eye on and seriously thinking about either making an offer or buying them outright. When you start talking about hundreds of dollars, I start thinking very seriously and debating, do I really want to do that? Because whichever ones I buy, you're going to need conservation. I know that. The ones I'm looking at, every single one of them that I'm looking at needs to be conserved, which means I'm going to end up doing the work. Make sure I do a good job. I think that's going to be it for my little thoughts of what's going on today. Submission creases are hard. Yeah. Submission, not subscription, not submission. Yeah, subscription creases are hard. I've got a couple of comics that have those that are just, they drive me up the wall. They're not so bad if they were folded on the back cover. In other words, I'll use this as an example. If they were folded this way, it's bad because you're going to have that crease right going down. But if they were folded this way, then the crease will be on this side, and that's not as bad because people aren't going to be able to see that. Well, get home, and hopefully I'll still be on. Yeah, that's fortunate. You'll just have to worry about the dirt on that center then. Let me get started here. With a segment that I like to call Pressing Matters. I'm going to redo that someday, but and I'm going to have different things for a lot of them. What we're starting out with is World's Finest, number 174. All I did was give this a light clean and a press. It's from 1968. I think it turned out all right. The bad part is I don't know if I have this one in my collection or not. So if I have it in my collection, I'll probably offer this one up for sale. Unless this one is in better shape than what's in my collection. We'll figure that out. So, its current condition, I would give not VG. I'd say very good, which that's 4. Yeah, that's very good. That's a 4.0. Next, this one I didn't bother clean. All I did was press it because it didn't even really need a press. But you know, before it goes in my collection, I want it pressed. From 1984, American flag, number 1. Number 5, not number 1. I got number 1 on my brain because I want to get number 1 because I want to read them. Then we have Classics Illustrated Junior, The Golden Touch. This is from 1964. It is one of the reprints. This one had a split spine. So I had to do a little work to it. And it still turned out all right. We've got my ongoing Cerebus 31, where it has these huge stains on it, and it was all wrinkled and messed up. But you know, humidity chamber for 24 hours works wonders once you press it. It's from 1981, and one of these days I'm going to take one of these Cerebuses apart, clean it properly. And we've got Blondie number 180 from Tarzan Comics. It's from 1969, so late Silver Age. It has a chip out of here, and just got a clean in a press. Nothing really major done to it. It has that dust shadow there. I didn't try to get that out. All I wanted to do was get the dirt off of it. Archie's Girls, Betty and Veronica, number 125. It's from 1966. So when this came out, I wasn't reading Archie comics. There you can see the What Do You Draw Best? Admiring Glances. I think it turned out all right. Next up, now I'm trying to, I do batches of like 11 comics, and I go through them. Kenneth, how you doing, buddy? I go through them. I'll do a Cerebus. I'll do a PC comic, Charlton, Archie, Dell, Gold Key, or Western, which Western is Dell, Gold Key, and also Whitman. Then I'll do a Golden or Atomic Age comic, or something older, if I have it. Then I go to Marvel Comics, Harvey, DC, First, and finally Classics Illustrated. So it's time for the one I picked for the Golden / Atomic Age. And this is from 1947, Mickey Thin number 10. It turned out really, really nice. I did give it a light clean and a press. I'm real happy with the way that came out. Might offer that one up for sale one day. I don't know. Then I've got from Dell, Seventh Voyage of Sinbad. This is 4-color, number 944, from 1958. So Silver Age goodness from Dell Comics. This one snuck in there. I don't have it listed anywhere, but I snuck it in anyway. It's from Capital Comics, Whisper number 1. I ended up with a couple of copies of this. It's from 1983. And I read it. Really, really good. From Marvel Comics, I have Creatures on the Loose number 26 from 1973. And this is just going through and pressing all my Creatures on the Loose. Nice stuff. I'm going to start assigning grades to these someday. And from Harvey, I have Sad Sack Laugh Special number 61 from 1971. Before I pressed it, this was about an $8 comic. I would say it's probably closer to about 10 now. I'll see what happens when and if I offer it up for sale. You never know what Harvey comics are going to sell for, or if they sell at all. And sometimes they sell really well, and sometimes they sit, and then you end up bundling them all together and selling them cheap. American Flag, number 8 from 1984. Now, I have 6 and 7, but I'd already pressed those a while back, so I didn't need to press them. And again, I didn't bother cleaning it, just did a press. Of course, I dusted it off with a cotton round, but that's about it. This next one, I did a light clean and a press. The whites were kind of dingy on it. This is Action Comics, number 366 from 1968. course, it has Supergirl in it. Yeah, I just got a Creatures on Loose number 30. Unfortunately, it doesn't have the Marvel value stamp, but it's complete other than that. It's a pretty nice copy. I'm not showing it because I only got one comic this past week, and that was it. I'm not going to show new comics if I only have one. Next up, we have Classics Illustrated Junior number 535-534. Wizard of Oz, first print. Really happy with that. Did it clean in a press. That's all I did to it. Really happy with that. Especially because it's first print. I went ahead and pressed this, Captain Victory and the Galactic Rangers, number 3. From 1982, this has the first appearance of Ms. Mystic. This will be offered up for sale at some point. Because I already have a copy that's in at least as good a condition as this one. I hope. Got a Cerebus number 32, same thing. Lots of staining from tide marks that I didn't bother trying to get out. Did a light clean aside from that. Humidity chamber for 24 hours, and then the press. From 1981, Cerebus number 32. I'm enjoying reading these. This one is in low grade. I did some cleaning to it, but I did not cause the damage you're about to see. That was already there. I did get some paper that was on the cover removed. And it got stuck to another comic, I guess, because there was a comic paper up here for a back cover. So I managed to get that off. A little bit of the ink came off with it, but overall, it was a low grade to start with. It's still a low grade, but at least it's flat and it looks pretty nice. It's from 1967, Mini Ghost of Dr. Graves, number 14. I think this one is actually missing something. Yeah, it is. Archie's Girls, Betty and Veronica. This is number 169 from 1970. Now, the Betty and Veronica comics of this period, they had a pinup in it, usually 2. Somebody tore it, or actually they didn't tear it, they cut out the pinup on this. Why, I don't know, but they did, and so the comic is not complete in my opinion. So it's a placeholder until I get a better one. Of course, I don't actively search for Archie comics, but I accumulate them. When I get them, I keep them. If I see them up for sale at a reasonable price, I'll buy them. Oh, I can get them out. I've just been lazy. I've got so many other things I need to work on that I'm just getting those so the wrinkles are out of them and the pages are supple again. And that's good enough for me for right now for those Cerebus comics. I could, if I wanted to, get the majority of tide marks out. But I don't want to. I had like 30 of them like that. Yeah, I might do one, but not anytime soon. Next up, we have a Gold Key comic. This is from 1967. Probably put this up for sale because I do believe I have a complete set of the Mars Total War. in my collection. Mars Patrol Total War, number 4, from 1967. Probably offer this one up for sale. But I have a lot more to do than just work on comics. I have comics, I do eBay, I do these live streams. I press comics for people and for myself. I'm not showing comics that I've pressed for other people anymore. I have permission to do that, but I don't. And in addition to that, I do sourcing for toys and stuff that I can put on eBay. Aside from that, I try to get in a little fishing once in a while. It doesn't happen often, not nearly often enough. And I'm trying to coordinate some other things. And then I have something that I have to do every Friday night. You know, that takes time. I'm not going to discuss what it is. It's not related to comics in any way or any collectibles that I own. So yeah, I'm busy all the time. I sleep, 3 to 5 hours at night, and maybe catch an hour nap sometime during the day if I get really tired. I also have to take care of my property, which is, I rent it, but still got to take care of it, and with the, I'm not getting a break this year like I usually do in August. And usually from August to late September, I don't have to cut the grass because it doesn't grow because there's no rain. Not the case this year. I got to cut it every week. So I just don't have time to do everything I want to do. And believe me, I have a stack of comics that need help. We have another Gold/Atomic Age. This, and I showed this one before. This is the Rangers comic, number 40. Reattached the cover, made it look pretty. Really happy with the way this turned out. And I do some conservation on other comics that I don't film. I pick ones that I want to do series on, and the rest of them I don't. You are correct. I have it somewhere. And finally, always like this cover. Creatures on the Loose, number 27 from 1974. Turned out really nice. Very happy with that. I believe Michael has a copy of this now. So that's 21 comics that I pressed over the last, well, actually, it's more than over a week. Because I've already got 2 or 3 days worth of comics since then. I'm only showing 21 at a time. Sometimes I'll press 4 or 5 comics in a day. Usually I do 3, but sometimes I'll press 4. So, Gold Key Tarzan. I don't have a whole lot of those. And as it turns out, there's only about 70 of them. Because it started with number 132. I think. Yep, number 132. And it went to number 206. So, yeah, that's, 78 comics? Not very many. No, less than that, 74 comics. Not a whole lot. And I have about half of them. And I've been so concentrated over the last few years of Tarzan collecting, get the Dells I've kind of ignored the gold keys and also the DCs. And I have the DC too. DC, I think there were more of those. I think I don't know exactly what number it went to. I can find out real quick. But I have those here too. I figured we'd just finish up all the Tarzans tonight. We get out the big book of knowledge, look up Tarzan and find out what the last DC issue was. And I know it'd be quicker to look on the internet, but I like books. I have most of, if not all of the Marvel Tarzan. I'm not going to be showing those because I really don't care about them. I have them. It's not a big deal. The only ones I really care about is the numbering system that started with the Dell #1. It went to number 258, it looks like. Yeah, 207 to 258, so there's 51 DC comics, of which I don't have them all. So some of them are, some of them aren't. For instance, let's take a look at this number 27 here. There's a few issues that weren't. Gardner Fox wrote it. Val Merrick and V. Alcazar did the art, and Roy Thomas was the editor. But generally, they would have a backup story. And this one is Stanley and Steve Ditko. So, and those are reprints. Those stories were reprints from other stories. So. Even Tower of Shadows, which was the first 9 Creatures on the Loose, they weren't Stanley stories. Some of them were written and drawn by the same person. Neil Adams did one that was written and drawn by Neil Adams. I think Steve Ditko did one that was all Steve Ditko, writing and art. There's a few others that I can't think of off the top of my head. I'll look it all up and I'll go through my comics and make a list. After I show them all a little bit at a time, I'll go through and I'll show you, just like I did with the Tarzans, but I'll list the artists and writers for each one. So let's get started with this. Gold Key Tarzan, Edgar Rice Burroughs Tarzan. This is number 132, the first Gold Key issue. And it has Tarzan riding on a griffin. Is it? No, it's a big giant eagle. Next up, number 133. This was the second Gold Key issue. And as you can see, it's got some damage here and up here. Not too concerned with it. I do need to put these in bags and boards. I probably should press them all, clean them all. I might do that. I might just take out all my Tarzans, go plop, and start going through them. Ignore my everything else I do and just go through all of Tarzans. Now we have number 137, and this one has a lot of foxing on it. See all the brown in the background there? That's foxing, not to be confused with mildew or mold. It is foxing. And that, of course, is the oxidization of metals in the comic. are in the paper. Then we have number 139. Number 140. Number 142. Yeah, you just got that too, didn't you? Jesse Martin. Do you see why I like him so much? I assume you looked through it, and you can see why I like his artwork so much. It's so good. I still don't have 25, but I'll be getting it a copy before too long. Number 143. I want to get number 6 and 7 before I get 25, though. Number 153. Yeah, I want to get those first 10, and then I'll worry about the rest of them. This is number 158. Mine are in pretty good shape. My early Dell Tarzans are in pretty good shape. This is number 159. A lot of people don't remember comic books were not collectibles. Comic books were throwaway entertainment. Read it once, you toss it. That's the way comics were seen. Number 163. Now, this one has some water wrinkles on it, so it has some water stains on it. And of course, when I get to doing this one, I will clean that out. I will fix it. Let's see how bad they are. If it doesn't have any tide marks, I'll just do the humidity chamber thing. Number 164. I look forward to seeing it. Number 166. Number 172. This is from 1967, October 1967. And it's easy to tell. These last three numbers, 710, the 10 is for October, the 7 is 1967. And the 12 cent tells you that it's late Silver Age or middle Silver Age. We've got number 175. And this one, the number is 804 because it's April 1968. Number 181. This one has a really bad tide mark. I'm going to have to clean this one up. Yeah, it comes right down through there, and the paper is wrinkled. So I may be working on this one soon. or I'll just wait till I get to it. I'm pretty convinced I'm going to do a press of all my Tarzan comics before. This is number 186. $190, and this has some schmutz up here. It feels like it's like ice cream or something on it. That'll probably come off with water with no problem at all. Number 191. $192. Here's another one that has some really bad water wrinkle. And actually, it looks like it might have some mold spots on it. I never noticed that before. But these darker black spots. So I'm going to have to put this in my ozone chamber and see if I can't kill those off. And then maybe soak the cover or the comic in vinegar. One page at a time, of course. It's number 199. Another water wrinkled comic. Number 202. And this is my last gold key, number 203. I don't have 204, 205, or 206. I will be looking for those before too long. Actually, I'll be looking for gold key Tarzan before. And we might as well do the DC comics so we can wipe out the... For the longest time, the key collector app only listed one Tarzan comic as a key issue. You know, the first issue wasn't important. The 10th issue wasn't important. The number 4 wasn't important. The number 25 wasn't important. Only the number 207 was important because it was the first DC comic. Joe Kubert art, gotta love it. It's just beautiful. Joe Kubert's art, the reason I like Joe Kubert's art so much is it reminds me a lot of the way Bernhoven draws, or used to draw when he was still alive. And then I have the second DC issue here. That's number 206. I like that. This next one is just a filler. This is number 211. I don't have a cover for it. It's a filler until I get a copy. I got a couple of those in here. It's number 212. No, I don't think he was writing it. Let me see here. He might have been. Based on Jungle Tales of Tarzan, which I have read. I guess it is written by Joe Kubert. I never noticed that before. Yeah, he's the only one that gets credit for it. So here's number 213. I have here number 215. Now, I don't count this one as coverless because it has a little tiny bit of cover right here. Yeah, it is. It's coverless. This goes to show I like to read these, so I don't have a problem with a coverless copy if I'm going to read it. Angry Otter, how are you doing, buddy? Haven't seen you for a while. Next, we have number 216. Number 217. Two 18. Two 20. 221. And yeah, I know they're not in bags and boards, but that's okay. 223. This is number 224, and as you can see, it has some damage up here to the top. Number 226. Cool. That's cool. $229. It's number 230. Uh, 232. Yeah, it's good stuff. And DC from, a lot of people say, oh, Marvel was the best in the 60s. No, it wasn't. The DCs in the 60s and 70s. Okay, the early DC 60s up to about 1967, kind of campy, they were funny books. That's all you can say about them. With the exception of a few, like Hawkman and the Atom. Those were pretty good. But in the 70s, they started getting really, really good. I read some of the Marvel stuff at that time, and it was okay, but it was no DC. Number 233, you saw this one last week. This one Michael Mayron sent me. So, yeah, you saw that one last week, but I put it in there because that's where it belongs. The number 235. And this was the last of the 100-page DC Tarzans. How do I know that? Because here's number 236. And it's interesting, they went from 20 cents, if you go back and look, it went from 20 cents to 60 cents for 100 pages. And when they dropped down from 100 pages, it went to 25 cents. But this is number 236. Actually, I think Marvel. Wow, you got rid of your Fantastic Four? That's surprising. Uh, I personally think Marvel's are worth money because some of the characters became iconic for the brand, and low distribution for the 60s. The Marvel comics didn't have very wide distribution. I never saw a Marvel comic before probably 1970. And then I was able to find some of the older ones, some of the back issues, actually almost all of the back issues. But just going to the store and buying comics, I never saw Marvel comics. All I ever saw was DC, Dell, Gold Key, Harvey, Archie, and Classics Illustrated. Patrick, good to see you, buddy. Of course, I lived in Northern Virginia when I was growing up, so that might have had something to do with it too. Other parts of the country might have had better distribution for it. But where I lived, you didn't see very many Marvel comics. We have number 237. Number 238, which was a giant. That was like an annual. Once a year, they do a giant comic. I just fixed a fold there. I think this is the saddle stitch that wasn't. As you can see, the staples go through here instead of the back. So this actually needs a little bit of restoration or conservation. I'm going to have to do another one of those where I take a square bound comic, take it off, repair the spine, and put it back on. I'm going to have to do another one of those. Number 239. Number 240. Number 241. Number 242. And with the two coverless comics I have in there, I'll probably print out covers or a copy of the cover and just put it in the bag in front of it so that I can tell, so that I can see what the cover looks like. Not trying to fool anybody, but I like to be able to see what the cover looks like. Number 244. $245. $246. $247. $248. $249. this the, I'll be able to tell from this one. Yes, this is the first Tarzan with a new barcode on it. It's from May 1976, and 1976 was the first year that comic books had barcodes. So there you go. A little bit of trivia for you. Number 251. Does that make that a key issue? No. Not at all. Number 252. $254. It's a Lopez cover, Jose Luis Garcia Lopez. And I think in 1976, Joe Kubert started or stopped writing Tarzan. Like this one is number 255, adapted by Denny O'Neil, with Jose Luis Garcia Lopez doing the artwork and Frank Springer doing the inks. And that's number 255. Ernie Chua cover. 257 was also an Ernie Chua cover. And I'm looking to see what the credits on this one are. And they're not giving any credits on this one. Because Joe Kubert. Interior art by Joe Kubert. And probably the story, since that's the only credit that's on there. Is, that's okay. You get to rewatch it and see all of them. Or you can go back and watch last month's or last week's, watch all the Dells, and then watch all the Gold Key and VC. That's my last DC Tarzan. Like I said, I'm not going to show the Marvel Tarzans. Number one, I don't know where they are, even though I'm sure I have, if not all of them, pretty close to it. And I just don't care that much about them. And I won't be showing my Dark Horse Tarzans either, because I know I don't have all of those, and I don't really care that much about them. This is the series that I want to complete. I want to have number one from Dell all the way through DC number 258. So that'll be the full run, including the gold keys. That's what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to find out. I'll go through my. I need to finish cataloging my Marvel comics anyway, because I've got all those X-Men and all those Wolverines that I've accumulated over the years that I have no idea what I've got. Yeah. And he also did some Batman. But the Frank Springer Batman's terrible. It's horrible. Yeah, this is some of what you missed, Jackson Roy Kirk. This is the very first gold key Tarzan. So I have the first Del Tarzan, number one Tarzan, and not the first Del Tarzan. I wish I had that. I have the last Dell, the first gold key, and the first DC. I'm missing the last DC and the last Gold Key. I'll get them eventually, and I'll check and see what I've got with Tarzan. I'm 99% sure I have all the Marvel ones, but like I said, I just really don't care that much about them. This is the run that I want to finish. I want to have 258 Tarzan. Well, maybe the Tarzan Del Giants too. Maybe I want those too. And then I'm going to work on my Korak collection. I have a bunch of those, but that's all Gold Key or DC. There are no Del Korak comic books. And of course, I want to finish my Classics Illustrated Juniors and all of that stuff. Because there's some really good covers on some of those Classics Illustrated Juniors. Just some really great stuff. And the stories are entertaining. I mean, they're written for children, but they're really good, well written, well illustrated, through and through. I mean, it's good stuff. Just like Classics Illustrated. People wonder, a lot of times people ask, well, why do you collect Classics Illustrated? It's not worth anything. And generally, no, it's not. The only ones that are worth anything are the first issues. When I was very young, 6, 7, 8 years old, when I went to the store by myself, I could buy any comic book I wanted. It was not a big deal. When I went to the store with my mom, if I wanted a comic, it better be a Classics Illustrated, or she wasn't going to buy it. So that's how I got hooked on Classics Illustrated. It's a connection that I have with my mother. And I want to get the full collection. To me, getting that full collection is a kind of a way to honor her memory. You know, it's just the way I am sometimes. Yeah, I don't have a lot of space either. I have all this stuff that takes up space. Of course, I'll never get rid of that, or that, or that, or that. What did I just point at? I pointed to my Vampirella model that I painted. I pointed to the original Superman cold cast porcelain statue. The very first one. I have the second one too with all the robot thingies. I don't care too much about that one. And then I pointed to my Rocket Man, or my, yeah, this guy. The Rocketeer, I pointed to that one. And then above the Rocketeer, that's Linda Carter, Wonder Woman, from Mego. That's her as Diana Prince, but behind that is a regular Mego. I think the one behind that, oh no, the one behind that is a $6 million woman. And then in between Superman and Vampirella is my small scale Sylvanas Windrunner from World of Warcraft. That was my favorite character, so of course they destroyed her. And then my Paddington Bear. I'll never, how can I ever get rid of Paddington Bear? Where is it? Right there. Right there. And then over here, that's gone. The little dinosaur, and I'll be keeping him. That was a present from my nephew, so I can never get rid of that. And then all of this stuff down here, all of that is stuff that I'll sell some year, maybe, if I'm lucky. And everything from there over, with the exception of that box right there, that box right there, that's all Lois Lane, so that's not for sale. But the rest of that stuff is, yeah, that's all that stuff and all the stuff on this side, that's all stuff that's for sale. A lot of it's on eBay. So, and that's this little room. This room is not very big. It's like 10 by 15. It's a small room, but it's my office. So it doesn't have to be really big. And over here, in an area that you can't see, I have stuff that's on eBay, and over there I have stuff that's on eBay. Over here I have up here I have shelves with all of my comic book price guides, which my collection is not complete. I need to finish that collection too someday. Yeah, and people wonder why I want all of those comic book price guides. Research. I can, and I will. I'm going to take, eventually, I'm going to take and start with 1970, and I'm going to track certain comics, how much they've appreciated over the last 60 years. You know, from 1970 to 2020. Someday I'm going to, you know, and I'll pick certain ones out. Not key issues, just normal issues, and see how they do. You know, rather than like Conan #1, maybe I'll pick Conan #3 or #4 and see how that tracked over the years. Yeah, that's my intent eventually, to do something like that. I'll do some Fantastic Fours that aren't key issues, if I can figure out any that aren't key issues. Some Spider-Mans that aren't considered key issues, which is really hard to do because pretty much any Spider-Man from the 60s they consider a key issue. It's not, but got more coffee to drink. Like I said, I released a video to this day. I know Salesboy Comics watched it, and a few other people watched it. Made some comments. I have a lot of comments on it compared to what I normally get. I enjoyed doing that last. The rap #2, where I was using my phone to do the video of that. I had so much fun doing that. It isn't funny. But my problem with it was I couldn't keep, you know, you got to kind of hold the camera and you got to do things with one hand. And sometimes you got stuff that takes two hands to do, and it's just hard to do. So I started working on the cover. I started that this morning, or this afternoon, actually. And I did the back cover. I started working on the back cover. Then I'm going to work on the front cover. Then I'm going to put the two together and work on them together. And all I did really was get it to where I could flatten it out. I wasn't worried about getting it clean or getting it. I just want to have it flat so that I can start seeing what else I need to do to it. And I went ahead and printed out a little piece. Maybe I'll include that in the comic. Maybe I'll cross that line and do a little restoration rather than just conservation. Maybe I won't. I haven't made up my mind yet. And I'll be posting that on Friday. Friday, you might get a twofer because I'll be posting that one on Friday. But if I finish the other half of the first cover, or if I finish the front cover part of it, like I'm doing the back, then I'll go ahead and release them both. back to back. Or possibly I'll combine them into one because it's pretty short. So I think you are really going to enjoy that one I do on Friday because it takes it to a different level. I show something else that I use, and it's time for me to do another tools of the trade video. I think I'm going to do that after I finish this, finish working on this comic, this Cisco Kid number 15. I think I'll do the tools of the trade video then because I can show the tools that I have used that I haven't shown before. And that will be a tools of the trade advanced. And I'll show, different papers that I use. Maybe have a picture of my blender. We'll see what happens with that. I don't know yet. Next week, I'm not sure what I'm going to show next week. I show all my Tomb of Dracula, but I can't find one of them. I know I have it. I just can't find it. And it's not number 10. I know where number 10 is. It's like number 4 or maybe it's number 2. I don't remember which one. There's one of them I can't find. So I need to go through all my comics and find those. But I think Tomb of Dracula would be a good one to show. And a lot of people like Tomb of Dracula. Tomb of Dracula was a good comic. Gene Colan's artwork. What else can you say? I mean, it was good stuff. Or maybe I'll pick something else out that I have. I don't know. I'll figure it out. But I got to figure it out quick because I want to post it before next Monday. I don't want to wait till Monday like I've been doing the last couple of weeks. I want to take it. I want to get it and make my little thumbnail for putting it up. Yeah. So much to collect, so little time. Maybe, if we're lucky, in the next 30 days, I'll be able to show you a Lois Lane number 1. Maybe, if we're lucky. All right. Running out of things to talk about. Yeah, but I have all of them. I have the full run, so I don't really want to sell them. I wish I had the full run of Werewolf by Night. Not missing a whole lot of them. I think I'm missing number 1. I don't know what I'm missing in that. I haven't gotten that far with my Marvel comics yet. So I guess that's going to be about it for tonight. I don't have anything else to talk about. If you have any ideas or things you'd like to see, I mean, I can do a whole show on Archie if you want. I can just see that now. The whole night. 0 watchers. Anyway, see you next week. And in my videos, check them out. My 3 times a week, I'm trying to post them Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. If I don't if I am not able to do to have one of my conservation videos ready for like Wednesday or next Friday or even Monday, I will post a different type of video, but I will have a video out. So that's going to be it for tonight. Have yourself a great week and great weekend, and be safe, be careful, and we'll see you next time. Bye.